Obtained by First Alert 4 Investigate shows the moments two former St. Louis cops walked away from a man they'd found in Forest Park. He was shot in the head but still alive. The officers never tried to help, call for backup, or make sure that other people were safe.
Let's cruise around and come back.
Well, the role of law enforcement is rooted in trust, protection, and service to the community. When police officers fail to uphold these principles, they not only betray the public trust, but they also tarnish the reputation of the many good officers who are dedicated to serving with integrity. The disgusting incident involving two St. Louis police officers exemplifies why good cops harbor disdain for their bad counterparts. Hey, welcome to Profiling Evil, your go-to crime channel, where we dive deeply into criminal investigations and the criminal investigative process and provide education on the fascinating world of crime solving. So if you're passionate about unraveling mysteries and understanding the psychology of crime, you've come to the right place. Now, before we jump into today's case, take a minute to hit that like and subscribe button and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to ring the bell so that you never miss any of our future videos just like this one. And please think about giving this video a thumbs up. It helps us keep bringing you amazing content. And we'd love it if you'd share Profiling Evil with your friends and your contacts. People like you who love true crime. But let's get started. So we're heading over to St. Louis, where a man named Urayoan Rodriguez-Rivera placed a desperate 911 call to police announcing his intent to take his own life. The response by the police officers Fraser and Warren demonstrated a chilling disregard for both human life and the oath they swore to uphold. Upon finding this man alive but gravely injured, the officers chose to abandon their duty. Fraser dismissed the call because his shift was nearing its end, while Warren displayed an equally shocking lack of empathy. Both officers left the victim beneath a tree without rendering aid or notifying emergency services, even mocking the situation with callous remarks captured on body camera footage.
5 seconds is the time it takes for two officers to find what they've been called to look for.
Damn, he right there. Somebody right there. Swear to God. No, he ain't dead. He alive.
September 10th, 2023, still sunny in Forest Park at 6:20 p.m. A man lying on the ground, shot, but still breathing.
He shoot himself in the head?
I don't know.
That's now former SLMPD officer Austin Fraser. He is not wearing a camera. It's his partner, Ty Warren's, that is rolling. Together, they make a decision.
We better take this motherfucker down.
We ain't taking this shit.
I ain't taking 30 minutes.
Let's cruise around and come back.
A minute and 10 seconds on scene, changing lives forever. Laughing as they walk away from a person and the public who needed them to protect and serve.
Their neglect and subsequent behavior, this pretending to search for the victim and then leaving the scene again, contravened the very core of police duty. Tragically, Rodriguez-Rivera later succumbed to his injuries, leaving behind grieving loved ones and a community questioning the trustworthiness of the police force. Chris, number one, I'm just so incredibly disappointed, and I find myself vacillating back and forth between anger over what the officers did and, or more importantly, what the officers failed to do in this particular case, and the concerns that I often have for the mental health of police officers who see so much tragedy that they can become hardened to a state that something like this, they very well may have assessed from the onset that they weren't going to do anything because they wanted to get on with their life or go goofing off or you know, head to the bowling alley, who knows. But the thing that's so troubling is a police officer knows, and you basically plan for the fact that at the end of the day, you're probably going to end up picking up some overtime hours as a result of calls, because it isn't a 9-to-5 job where you can just hope that everything's completed in a specific set of time. As the emergencies unfold, your responsibility unfolds, and they failed in their responsibility. Which brings me to my questions of why good cops condemn actions of bad cops. And number one is the erosion of public trust. Incidents like this create a ripple effect of mistrust between law enforcement and the communities they serve. Good cops, those who dedicate their lives to protecting and serving, often bear the brunt of the public outrage directed at the system as a whole. Every act of misconduct undermines years of trust-building efforts, and it angers good cops. Number one, common decency says the first thing they should have done is render aid to this young man, and they should have done everything they could to protect his life, perhaps sustain it, or at least stabilize him until professional medical help could arrive at the scene. And medical help got there pretty quick later when they returned to the scene or when other officers found him. But that's the most important thing. I mean, it says on the side of police cars to protect and serve for a reason. And their responsibility is to do that very thing. It's not to let your own biases or your own frustrations or the fact that you're kind of tired step in the way. And that's what really sets apart real police officers, those who go out and get in the trenches every single day and they stick it out, whether they like the job assignment they have at that particular moment or they don't. And I'll tell you what, these scenes can be so gruesome and so cause such a shock value to even seasoned officers that when you get there, you have to have the training that causes you to just kick into gear and go to work. And go to work is providing life-saving measures and stabilization until the medical teams can arrive. And frankly, they just miserably failed in that. And to me, it's so disappointing that, like in an accident scene, there's a law that you have to stop and render aid. What kind of human decency says you don't render aid in that kind of case? It's just so disappointing. The violation of the oath of office that police officers swear. They swear to protect life and enforce the law without prejudice or personal convenience. Fraser and Warren's actions represent a betrayal of that oath, setting a dangerous precedent for what the public might fearfully view as a culture of negligence within the law enforcement community. They jeopardize the team's integrity. The professionalism of good officers depends on their ability to trust their colleagues. Police officers who fail to act ethically compromise the safety and morale of their peers. The disgust expressed by other officers on the scene in this particular case highlights the internal accountability that many law enforcement officers strive to uphold. And I want to pause long enough to watch the video of this encounter, just to kind of give you a sense of what we're talking about as this thing unfolded.
St. Louis police had been called to Forest Park after a call from a person who said they were going to take their own life. Later learning it was 29-year-old Urayoan Rodriguez-Rivera. Disciplinary complaint documents say Fraser and Warren arrived on scene and located the man lying under a tree, shot in the head. Neither attempted to render any assistance, neither requested medical assistance, and neither, complaint documents say, attempted to locate a firearm.
Let's cruise around and come back.
Instead, they simply leave, and Warren turns off his camera. But about 10 minutes later, they come back to Forest Park and pretend they hadn't already been there.
522 priority.
Go ahead.
Have EMS respond for one subject, not conscious but breathing, barely.
A third responding officer immediately calls in the scene.
Yeah, he's snoring.
Assessing the wounds. The man's breathing so agonizing, it's like a gasping for air.
Where's the gun at?
That third officer immediately notices something isn't right.
You got a gun?
They can't see one.
As others arrive, they know to secure the perimeter.
Hey, start it way up there and do the whole thing.
Throughout several officers' body camera videos, you see them putting up yellow crime scene tape.
Priority with privacy curtains. We're in a very exposed area of Forest Park.
Calling to block the victim from view in the busy park and keep others away.
Got a pulse still?
They follow protocol
You got a pulse.
and attempt to help,
Super weak, but I feel it.
even when they know it's bad.
There's not much we can do. Shoot.
Yeah, we're going. They still got a pulse.
Accountability as a pillar of justice is also a big concern here, because ethical officers understand that accountability is a cornerstone of their role. Thankfully, the firing of Fraser and Warren and the revocation of their licenses will serve as some kind of a reminder that misconduct carries consequences. However, such disciplinary actions are reactive. Good officers advocate for protective measures that prevent these incidents from happening in the first place. Things like improving training, oversight, and mental health supported for both officers and the public. You know, the actions of Fraser and Warren highlight the need for a systematic reform, for commitment to upholding professional standards within law enforcement agencies. You know, I talk about that on an interview with Chris Stewart of Law and Crime, so let's catch that interview. You know, we need a body camera expert rather than me. At one point, I thought body cameras automatically turned on when the officer was exiting the vehicle or once a call came in. Then I have heard that they have the ability to turn them on and off, and that through training, they're told every time you get out of the vehicle and you're having a contact that you're turning that thing on. So I think it would boil down more to department policy, what's automated versus what is allowed to go on and off. And the thing that becomes kind of interesting to me in this particular case is it almost appears that Fraser, based on some of the comments that were made, is probably a senior officer in that police car, and may have just had a level of arrogance that he didn't need to follow the rules. I don't know. Police officers, like in this example, cast a shadow over their department, requiring the efforts of ethical officers to restore the public faith. The swift response of other officers at the scene, those who were rendering aid and calling out their colleagues, that exemplifies the accountability that good cops demand. And I want to thank them for having the integrity to do so.
On video this time, Warren and Fraser walk away again, leaving their fellow officers to handle it now.
You know what's up? Warren and Fraser just left.
Why?
I don't know.
Nearly every officer acknowledges the obvious. How is it a suicide with no gun?
ETU is here, so he probably already has the gun.
Nope, no gun. Gun's gone.
What do you mean gun's gone?
The gun is gone. So he could have shot himself, somebody came over and took his shit.
I mean,
It wouldn't shock me. Maybe somebody dumped him. You never know. I mean, there's St. Louis.
Unless somebody picked it up and chucked it somewhere.
Ultimately, the case was ruled a suicide. Urayoan had a history of suicidal ideations and had left notes of intent. Still, Fitch says it's very concerning that to this day, no one knows where that gun is, possibly left unsecured by Fraser and Warren.
For communities like this to heal and trust their police forces, stories of neglect must serve as lessons for meaningful change. Body cameras, transparent investigations, and zero tolerance for misconduct are vital tools for rebuilding the integrity of law enforcement. Good cops dislike bad cops because they understand the weight of their responsibility and the fragility of public trust. Officers like Fraser and Warren are anti-ethical to the mission of policing, and their actions jeopardize the safety, the reputation, and the effectiveness of their fellow police officers. The tragic loss of Mr. Rodriguez-Rivera serves as a sobering reminder of what happens when law enforcement fails to fulfill its duty. It's up to the ethical officers and proactive communities to demand accountability, to ensure justice, and to honor the sacred responsibility of protecting human life. Now, this young man most likely wouldn't have survived a gunshot wound to the head, but he did deserve the decency of a police department that was 100% in. And I believe the St. Louis Police Department is, albeit a few bad apples. So I hope you'll take time to enter your comments down below and weigh in on this particular thing. Be kind and constructive, and let's explore this case together and try to think about it a little less judgmentally and a little more trying to understand the behaviors that went on. Hey, thanks so much for tuning into Profiling Evil. We truly appreciate your support, and we love having you along for the ride. Don't forget to connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. And that way you'll get all of our updates and insights. And if you're into audio podcasts, folks, we've got you covered. Subscribe to Profiling Evil on your favorite podcast platform to catch all of our episodes on the go. And if you're looking for even more content, head over to our website at profilingevil.com. That's where you're going to find our informative story maps, our missing persons and unsolved homicides crowdsourced map. It's a place where you can enter in cases from where you live or anywhere in the world. It's a fascinating new social experiment that we'd love for you to be a part of. And while you're on the website, sign up for our digital newsletter, the BOLO. BOLO stands for Be on the Lookout, and it's packed with exclusive updates, but the only way you're going to get it is by subscribing at Profiling Evil. And don't forget to check out our new playlist at Profiling Evil. It's called Twisted Tales, and we dig into some really fascinating cases that are not so much in the news anymore, but they can teach us an awfully lot. And if you're a fan of true crime books, check out my books on our website. You can get personalized copies of Deceived, an investigative memoir of the Zion Society cult, or She Knew No Fear. Either one you can get signed if you order it on the website and you live in the United States. And I'll ship it to you for free. But if you're living anywhere else in the world, just go to Amazon.com and pick them up. I think you'll really enjoy both books. So thanks again for your incredible support of Profiling Evil. We'll see you soon at the next crime scene.